Hello everyone, welcome to another session on appreciating drama. We were discussing about Edward Albee's The Zoo Story, and this is like part 2 of our discussions on the Zoo Story. In the previous session, we discussed about Edward Albee and also a kind of introduction to the play The Zoo Story. In this session, we will discuss about the highlights of the play. Like certain conversations are like very important, we can say, when we go through the play. I think that, I believe that you all have read the play by now. I have already shared the PDF with you. And now we'll discuss like some important conversations or you can say dialogues in the play. And also like I'll share the PDF with you so that you can have a detailed, read maybe after listening to the video. I'll just focus on some important conversations that we cannot forget because this is like a detailed paper. Okay, so in this particular you can say play, there are somewhere around 120 2021 conversations are like pretty very important, or you can say we have to look you have to go for a deeper look into such conversations. So we'll quickly go through them, not all the conversations, rather some very important one. So the first conversation which I believe is like important is the conversation that is in fact been the dialogue in fact been made by Jerry, where he says like, I have been to the zoo. I said I have been to the zoo. Mister, I have been to the zoo. And this is like highlighted here. So why exactly he is repeatedly saying that particular phrase, you can say like, I have been to the zoo. So there is there are some many implications to that which we will discuss later maybe. Then Jerry again says, you are an educated man, aren't you? Are you a doctor? Okay, so Jerry is trying to frame some kind of impression or trying to generate some kind of impression about the educated person who is sitting in the bench and reading something. Okay, so that is what we are getting from that particular dialogue. And then Peter responds, in a response he says, oh no, I read it about it somewhere, Time magazine, I think, that is also like it actually points to the class, okay, of Peter, and that is why as a response to that particular statement of Peter, Jerry says, well, Time magazine isn't for blockheads. So Peter is like an educated person and also like belong to an upper class kind of a person. So that is getting reflected in that conversation. Then Jerry asking Peter, do you mind if we talk? So he is like very polite in the beginning, and you all know that towards the end he has in fact changed his tone. He is demanding, or you can say that he is giving orders towards the end. Towards the end of the play. Then Peter says, no, I don't mind at all, really. So he's even Peter is like very obliging kind of a person in the beginning. And Jerry, it's a nice day. Okay, then again Jerry is repeating the same thing, I've been to the zoo. And Jerry also says like, you will read about it in the papers tomorrow. If you don't see it on your TV tonight, you have TV, haven't you? So the play was in fact being written in the year 1958, and TV is not that popular a medium as it is today. So again it is pointing towards the class of you can say Peter. Okay, then Jerry is asking him, you are married? Okay, and that too with an exclamatory mark. So again that is like you will get a kind of a picture about Peter, where Peter is like a well settled kind of a person and belong to certain particular section of the society. He is an editor. So you can see that the writer is in fact placing the social status of Peter more or less clearly through these interactions, you can say. Then Peter asking Jerry like, why? Certainly you can come up with your statements and all, we'll have a discussion, all these things Peter is saying. Then Jerry, it isn't a law, for God's sake. that one should get married. That is the context. It's not a law, not like compulsory thing for everyone to follow. Then Jerry, and you have a wife. Okay, yes, Peter replies yes. Jerry says, and you have children. Then Peter says yes too. Jerry, boys? Peter, no, girls, both girls. Jerry, but you wanted boys. Peter, well, naturally, every man wants a son, but there are like many implications of of both Jerry, and you can see that of the character of Peter is getting reflected in the conversation. But that is the way the cookie crumbles, basically reference to something that bad that has happened. So again it reflects about the condition of, there is a kind of a reflection of the society of America, and how exactly they look at married life, then children, girls, all these things are pointed out up here. You can say that this is like more or less a post-war scenario, and there were so many migrants to America after, especially after Second World War, and America was slowly becoming a superpower, okay, by then. And the society was like in a state of confusion, in a state of chaos during the time. So there are like strong divisions of class during the time, especially with the coming of migrants into America. So all these things are getting how exactly each sections of the society, they are looking at different aspects called marriage, called life, called children. All these things are getting reflected in the conversation between Jerry and Peter.